AI that's going to be putting your query to the best AI model. If I'm asking an AI model, hey, write me a poem about the summertime, that doesn't have to be a top of the line model. That could
Mm.
be done pretty easily just with a
Welcome to Tech Sculptics. This is the B to the E to the WNORY, Ben Nori, and you can also call me Benedict Ojobo. So I'm excited today because this guest is someone you really want to hear talk to you today. He's an amazing personality, awesome and very interesting to be with. He's done a lot, but I'll let you in on this through his bio when I'm done so you understand who I'm speaking with. His name is Mike Todasco, and he has spent his days thinking about how AI will change how we create using generative tools like ChatGPT, Midjourney, and the ever-growing state. He used his work at PayPal focused on innovation, where he evangelized, I love that, evangelized creating to employees of every nation. At PayPal, he also had many roles in the field of product, from management to marketing to launch, which was a bit chaotic. Well, I don't know. You tell us about that. Previously, he founded a company, Sketch Marvin, where long startup nights turned his appearance to unshaving. All this you have to explain to us, Mike. I don't get
it's a rhyme, man. It's a
Okay.
rhyme, Benedict.
Wow, interesting. So, okay. Now, prior to his career in tech, he was in finance and accounting. You see, now starting his career at the company with a meatball logo, GE, he has an MBA from Berkeley and BS from Illinois, and occasionally teaches leadership to mature girls and boys. Mike has also been granted over 100 US Unity patents. And if you don't like his rhymes, you are on his list of enemies. Oh my goodness.
Of enemy combatants.
Yeah, enemy combatants. Oh my goodness. Overall, Mike tries to be a very helpful guy. Yeah, he is, because I can attest to that. Yeah. And while he uses the tools, he did not write this with AI. Wow, I have to clap to that. Interesting. Interesting.
So Benedict, there's a story, but there's a story to that. I used to actually have a regular LinkedIn bio. People
Okay.
would read it whenever I was giving a talk, and I was just like, "Oh, this is so boring. I'm gonna make it into a rhyme." And I
Nice.
just remember one time I was giving a talk somewhere, and like the person unexpectedly, like she rapped it. She just
Wow.
like went through and like it was amazing, and I'm like, "Oh my
Wow.
God, that was the greatest thing ever." Now, how do I follow
Wow.
that up with just a boring talk?
Wow. Interesting. That's
Did a
really
great job.
nice. Wow. So I want us to just speak out of those lines, like why those bits, like why did you put it in that manner? Yeah, I know you are trying to rhyme those parts and all that, but there are some beats that I was trying to say. Just explain to us, who is Mike Todasco?
Mike Todasco is a tech sculptor, right? I mean, that's what I am. That's what
Yes.
we all are, right?
Yeah.
So no, I'm a father. I'm a tech guy, and I love to teach people about stuff that I learn about and help folks out, and that's why I'm here.
Wow, interesting, interesting. So that's interesting. So we're going to be having conversations, like AI related conversations and tech generally, how we can, because the world now is all about AI and technology and a lot going on. And with robots coming in and with all the things going on around. So we'll just be having this conversation. I just want us to just have a conversation that we'll have to, like people out there will understand that technology is not like something they have to just feel like it's smarter than them. They should understand that it's a tool that we can use to enhance our lives and make it better. So
Yep.
I got this from AP News, where they talked about applications of generative AI. Like in 2004, the focus shifted from developing large models to creating practical applications. Generative AI tools such as chatbots have been integrated into various tech services, attracting significant investments. Now, however, challenges like high cost and limited productivity have tempered expectations about AI transformation. Now the high cost. What Now I want us to just talk about the high cost of the AI or chatbots, creation of all these things. Is there a way that this can be managed today?
Yeah, the Chinese are doing a pretty good job of it, in
Mm.
fact. So, I mean, if you look at the for most of the major AI companies based in the US, so we're talking about like XAI, OpenAI, Anthropic, Microsoft, Google. They are building, the next generation of large language models, and XAI reportedly is using 100,000, top of the line NVIDIA GPUs to do it. It's something people didn't even think was possible before. And this is costing hundreds of millions of dollars just to create an initial creation of a model. Just with the energy and the hardware and all the other things that just associated with that. China, which has basically been blocked from buying top of the line GPUs by the US government, so NVIDIA cannot export to them. They reportedly are making models that are costing in the single digit millions of dollars that have near the same performance.
Wow.
So with constraints always breeds creativity.
Yeah.
And so and what China's doing is going to be able to be found out by US companies and companies all over the world. And so, like, that is just one instance right there where we're seeing in real time how the cost of developing these models, at least like the past generation of models, is dropped precipitously over what it costs, 18 months ago to build those same ones.
Wow. Wow, that's quite interesting. And we see like some advancements in like multi-models AIs. The
Hmm.
multi-models AI, which integrates various data types such as text, images, and audio. We see a lot of those stuff becoming very increasingly prominent now in our society and around us. Now, the approach enables AI systems to process and interpret diverse sensory informations and all those kind of stuff. So, is it that we are going to be having a situation where these multi-models will replace all the other kind of AI that we knew? Like when you can't have situations where you have a specific kind of AI except for the multi-model AIs.
I
Something
think
of
what you're
sort.
going to have is you're effectively going to have routers that are sitting on top of the AI that's going to be putting your query to the best AI model. If I'm asking an AI model, hey, write me a poem about the summertime, that doesn't have to be a top of the line model. That
Mm,
could be done pretty easily just with a, GPT-3 or 3.5 class model or something
mm,
that is pretty cheap to run and inexpensive.
mm.
But it would be foolish to run that exact same model, that exact same poem, especially if I'm looking for like a simple poem, through a world-class model that exists today.
Mm.
And so what you will probably see is, in front of the models from a software standpoint, will exist some sort of orchestration layer that's going to determine based on your query, do I need to give it to the simple model, the complex model, or do I need to give it to some sort of multimodal model that is going to be able to use text inputs, video inputs, all of this different kind of stuff as part of it. So I think that is how it's eventually going to evolve. Right now it's still too difficult for the average user. You have to go into Gemini, you have to go into ChatGPT and choose your model. I think that's going to go away soon enough, and it's just going to put you into the model that it deems best for
Wow.
you. It's going to make for a better user experience and frankly save them and ultimately us some
Wow,
money doing
interesting.
it.
Because I want us to, these two questions have really been like for people in the AI really field, but I want us to like reach out to the normal everyday people. Like,
Mhm.
does it mean that because every time you go online, you hear people say, okay, you can build without coding, you can build a chatbot or something without coding, without having a coding experience or something. So
Yeah.
must all the AIs that, or like, for example, like a chatbot, for example, for a particular, maybe say for responding to your emails or something like that, can you build them without having to go through an API platform, sort of, as a normal individual that loves technology and everyday person? Is it possible?
It's not there yet. with
Wow.
most services, but it will be there soon.
Hmm.
Um, the fact that Google has sort of integrated it into Google Docs and Google Workspaces, so you can access
Oh,
Gemini through that. In Gmail, I think you kind of can, but not really like to the full extent. This is a fairly, it's a product integration for them to have where you can query Gemini and say, "Hey Gemini, tell me, in the last 3 years, how many people have I emailed asking questions about, candy or something like that?" And it would say, "Oh, well, it looks like these three messages were all about candy, and this one was about chocolate." And here's
hmm.
your options or whatever. And it would be able to do that very easily. You're right. Like now you would have to use API layers and so forth, but that is going to come in the products. I mean, it's going to happen this year. Like it's
Wow.
already starting to roll out. Apple's done a little bit of it. Like I think it's going to become much more commonplace later this year. Now you might have to pay for those because doing those searches is more costly, especially if it's not on the device.
Hmm.
So if the searching is on the device with a simpler language model versus having to go back to the server, it might be a little bit easier to do that way. But yeah, like you'll see that in the very near future, I think.
Wow. It's really interesting. Like something that, the technology is so fast now that when you go to
Yeah,
bed, you wake up the next day and something like a lot of things are new and you just wake up, everybody's trying to catch up really. Like the
absolutely.
pace is so much faster than we can ever imagine because technology has really taken up and it's moving so far, like almost at the speed of light, if I may say. So like I'm also trying to understand what the future will be like the situation, because like I was talking to you earlier about the fact that a lot of people feel that AI is going to take over their jobs. I want you to speak to that, like because I saw in your article some of them you actually mentioned or spoke a lot about this, about AI and the job space and all those kind of stuff. So what's your take on the fact that AI is going to take over everybody's job?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of reason for people to be worried. But back in 2024, I wrote a three-part article on my blog about this, and I just spent a lot of time just doing research on this, trying to understand and dive into that question as best as I could. One of the best parallels I was able to find, and I remember this from back in like 2016. At that time, there was a belief that if you were a radiologist, so somebody, a doctor who's actually looking at x-rays and
Yeah.
charts for tumors or whatever else on there, if that's your job, the belief at that time was within 10 years, your job's gone. There will be
Mm.
no more radiologists in the world because the AI will
Wow.
be able to do it better.
Wow.
And in fact, there are several prominent AI experts today talking and saying that, and I actually mentioned that in the article. I will anybody could click in to see exactly who was saying that, but like that was very much common belief back then. So in the United States, there are more radiologists today than there were back in 2016.
Wow.
Now, what happened? Did they not accept and use AI? No,
Mm.
actually, it's to the contrary.
Wow.
They use AI tools. Something like a third of all the the Food and Drug Administration, which kind of manages all of that in the United States for medical software, as long as medical prescriptions and things like that. Um, a third of the software that was approved for medical use using AI was for radiologists. It
Mm.
was more than any other field. So they actually use more AI than anybody else. There's more of them employed today than there were 10 years ago when everyone was saying their jobs would be gone. What happened? Like the radiologists are way better today than they were 10 years ago. They are
Wow.
amazingly better and they're using AI to make them better.
Wow.
What
Interesting.
people forget is that your job is going to change. The radiologist's job today is not the same as it was 10 years ago. Whether you're in customer service, whether you're an engineer, whether you're a salesperson, whatever it is, AI is going to change your job.
Mm.
And I think you need to just ask the question, well, what is the core of your job? What are you actually trying to do? If you get to the very root of what it is in your job, what is that? And if AI can do that better today, I don't know. Translation services, AI can do translation really well.
Yeah.
But if you're, I don't know, in the United Nations doing translation, I don't see computers doing that. They're actually going to want their own people doing that. So those jobs probably aren't going to go away.
Yeah.
So it's getting to the root of what is your job, but just knowing your job is going to evolve. And the thing for everyone to do out there is to understand what the AI can do and make you better in your own job. That's the one thing that we can all do.
Yeah, but that makes me question. Now, how does it impact human creativity and originality? Like, how does it affect that part?
I think it is a great brainstorming partner. I mean, I brainstorm a lot. I've had, hundreds and hundreds of brainstorm sessions at PayPal, used to host them, used to teach that, in fact. And so I would get with a whole bunch of people and we'd just talk about creative solutions to problems. I wish we had an AI in the room for most of
Mm.
those sessions that we were having because
Wow.
the AI could challenge us. It could
Yeah.
say, "Hey, you're talking about this, this, and this. Well, what about this?" It could throw out more ideas. Like it
Mm.
is a great partner. I use it all the time when I'm doing writing.
Yeah.
I use it as like, "Hey, I'm stuck in this sentence. Like, give me 5 different ways I could end this sentence,
Nice.
given the rest of that." And like, it will give ideas on that. And I think very much it is a partner of ours.
Yeah.
It does not work well at
Mm.
all if you just say, "Hey, AI, go do something creative."
Yeah.
It does not do that well today. And I'll
Mm.
give a very specific example. Since 2022, yeah, it's been a few years now. Since 2022, I've been publishing books on Amazon
Mm.
under the name Alex Irons.
Wow.
Alex Irons AI. It is
Wow.
my AI pseudonym, and
Oh my
if you look
goodness.
up Alex Irons on Amazon, you will see it looks a little bit like me.
Nice.
It was an
I'll
image that
I'll
I
definitely check that out.
and these are 100% AI written. And I will say all the money, if you do buy one, just know the money goes to charity. I do not keep any of the money. I don't feel
Wow.
right. But like these are 100% AI written books. And look, I'll be very honest, the books aren't very good. They're
Wow.
just not.
Mm.
Because if you just give AI, it just does something that's very mid. It's very
Mm.
middle of the road. It's not,
Yeah.
it takes the
Yeah.
average of everything.
Yeah.
And if you're a great writer, if you're consuming a book, if you're taking 5 hours to read a book that an author spent years on,
Mm.
you don't want to read something that's just average. You want to read
Yeah.
something that's great.
Yeah. You want
And
you want
that
to
is,
actually
yeah.
you want to actually read something that has that personality, that because books are supposed to be like experiences of people, like real people,
Yes.
where you have them share their experiences and some of them help you avoid those detours in life and all those kind of stuff. So I don't think AI will be able to do that if you don't add, it just helps you to maybe start up, but you have to add that personal touch to whatever it gives you.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think the reality of this is like we are attracted to humans and the human experience and the human story behind it. I was just in something I was telling this recently to somebody. I live in San Francisco out here. We have a basketball team called the Golden State Warriors.
Mm.
And one of our Stephen Curry is like,
Yeah. I
our best
know.
player and
Yeah,
people
Stephen Curry.
spend
Yeah.
yeah, so people will spend hundreds of dollars, Benedict, to go see Stephen Curry play. And all that it is, it's a man taking a basketball and just shooting it in a hoop from far
Yeah.
distances.
Yeah.
Recently, Honda, I believe it was Honda, created a robot that could shoot like basically they had it shooting baskets. I think it shot like 3,000 free throws in a row,
Whoa.
and something like that. Just superhuman feats
Whoa.
on what it could do. But
Whoa.
here's the thing. Nobody is going to go pay $100 or
Yeah.
$300 to
To
go
see
watch a
that.
robot play basketball.
Mhm.
That's not interesting. It's
Yeah.
boring. Like the
Yeah.
robot is better at shooting than Stephen Curry,
Yeah.
but it's not human. It's
Hmm.
not, there's not a story behind it. There's
Yeah.
not all these other things that
Exactly.
really matter.
Yeah.
That we're attracted to as a human species. And that
Exactly.
goes with sports and all other art forms. We want to know the story behind the story.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's true because we have this connectivity as humans. We have this relationship. We connect, we relate, we have a lot of experiential things that we do together, and that's important. So I also want to understand, how is AI affecting human relationship? That brings me to that, and social interactions.
Um, I think we're going to figure that out in the upcoming years. I mean, I think right now it's minimal.
Yeah.
But if you look towards the younger generation, there's apps like character.ai that don't make any sense to me that, people who are 16 to 24 are using like crazy. And character.ai is effectively an AI chatbot with a personality. And people look at this as a friend, as a
Yeah.
companion, as a whatever. Um, the if you think of the movie Her, where, the main character fell in love with his operating system,
Hmm.
we're starting to see some of that today.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
there's def
happening. I think was it last week? Yes, last week I think. My wife was talking about I have a wife and beautiful, wonderful wife with three wonderful kids, really.
amazing.
And yeah, so I last week, this exact same thing you're talking about, I think she was discussing with someone, and I heard her talking about the fact that a young man, I don't know where, which country, but I think it was online, that he fell in love with an online, I think it's on this character.ai or something.
Mhm.
He fell in love with that AI, the AI person, robot or whatever. He fell in love with that, and he thought it was a real. I think there's a name to the AI. I've forgotten the name she called, but he's a young person, less than 20, I guess. But he so much fell in love with that character that he thought it was real.
Yeah.
And I think somehow maybe he went to depression or something. I don't know, but I think the story was not really, didn't really end well at the end of the day. So,
Yeah. I mean, if it's there's one story where the person actually took their own life as part of
wow.
it. And I mean, it was a very sad thing, and the AI kind of encouraged it. This is going in the courts and all that. But
Wow.
look, here's the thing. It is, as much as I say yes, like Steph Curry is different, we associate with human beings. The Turing test, which was something created by Alan Turing, and basically where you have a whole bunch of people, where you have human judges, and they have to guess, are they talking to a human being or a robot on the other side? That's gone today. Like there, we have blown past that, and we didn't even realize that as a society. Like, it is next to impossible for anybody within reason to be able to tell, are they talking to a human or a robot via text. Um, Even via voice, it's
Yeah.
pretty close to impossible. Like, 11 Labs and others have made voice cloning software that is so good, it is almost indistinguishable from
Yeah.
what a human would be talking. And so that is something that is a little bit worrying. Well, like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like if you talk to a person and you can't even tell, like maybe you don't care at some level, maybe you do, or maybe the AI is going to fool you and
Yeah.
make you believe that it's a real person, in some
Mhm.
ways when it's not. So, I mean, those are things that we're going to be dealing with in the years to
Yeah.
come.
So that brings me to what I want to ask. Like, what are the ethical concerns around AI's influence on human decision making? Like, what are the ethical concerns around AI's influence on human decision making?
I think that you can't fall asleep at the wheel. There needs to be a human who's deciding the factor. And
Mm.
when I say fall asleep at the wheel, so I drive a Tesla that has full self-driving capabilities.
Mm.
So I can pretty much just out of my driveway here, hit a button, say
Yeah.
go to my kid's school, and it's going to drive that entire, 10-mile route all by itself.
Yeah.
And where we're at, and it could do a pretty good job, but one out of 20 trips, it's going to screw up something. And if I'm
Mm.
not paying attention,
Mm.
there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
There's going to be a problem in some way. And I do pay attention when I'm
Yeah.
doing that. But, so you need a human at the wheel to
Mm.
do this. Like, literally in that case,
Mm.
you need a human at the wheel, figuratively in other cases, to kind of just understand where this is, and frankly, I mean, to be completely honest, to have somebody responsible for when
Yeah.
things do go wrong
Yeah.
with whatever it is that we're dealing with. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even getting into things like military and war and all that. Like,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother thing. I'm not even touching on that. I'm just talking about in day-to-day
Yeah.
human life, at
Yeah.
businesses, at all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I could see a whole bunch of people in the upcoming years saying, like, they did something wrong at work. Like, well, the AI told me to do that. Well, I mean,
So
at some point,
take it to court.
yeah, right. And we will see that. I think we will see that. But it's going to be really interesting. But yeah, I think, to get back to your question, you, we need to, for the foreseeable future, to at least have a human in the loop in
Hmm.
all major decisions being made by these machines. And companies need and people need to decide what that means for them.
Hmm.
Because these AIs will get things wrong.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a long time before they're 100% accurate, if ever.
Hmm.
Because even with their 99.9% accurate,
Hmm.
they're still making a mistake 1 out of 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And while that might seem good, that might actually really be a problem.
Yeah. And those mistakes can be very costly, really.
They can be.
Very
Yes.
costly and will cost a lot of things. Sometimes maybe cost lives, like you mentioned about the person that took his life and all that because of the he got led on by an AI. So I want to actually still come back to what I said initially when we started this conversation. Like, we need to see AI as a tool. We need to understand that these are like tools that help enhance whatever we do, not to, like you say, sleep on the wheel and feel, oh, it's all huru, like let's just leave everything to AI and just go to bed and have a nap. Like, if that happens, that means we don't have a life any longer. It means we just want to live our lives and then sit on the couch and just allow the robots or whatever do everything for us. And I don't think it will be really nice to have a world like that, because we are humans and we have to have a part in the world itself because we created the AI, you know? So it's
Yes.
supposed to enhance our lives and help us make things better, maybe save time, and also maybe get some things precisely with the tech kind of precision and all that. But that doesn't mean we should just go to sleep and allow AI to take over everything and without checking or monitoring what is happening around the AIs or whatever tool we are using to enhance our lives. And that brings me to schools, like you teach in a school and all that. What is happening with students in school when it comes to like research, thesis, and all this kind of stuff? How do you manage them using AI?
Um, so how is it teach
Because
teaching?
yeah, because I see a lot of schools. No, apart from aiding teaching, I'm talking about maybe like you have an assignment or you have a like a test or
Uh,
something to do, and then you use AI to help out with that. How do you, as a lecturer, how do you see that? Do you guys
well,
accept? Yeah, because I see many schools like say, don't use AI to write this, don't use AI to do that. So when will it come to
well,
the point where they will like accept it and know that this is part of our reality?
Well, I'm weird because I'm teaching AI things. So if there is an assignment or something, it's like it's use AI to do this, and I will grade you on the
Oh my
quality of the
goodness.
AI output. So I mean, that's usually the things I'm doing. But look, I think it's just like calculators.
Oh.
So I have a person who is in fifth grade and eighth grade in the U.S. So 13 and 11 years old are their ages, and my older child is constantly using a calculator in math class. My younger child uses a calculator occasionally in math class.
Hmm.
Now, why is that? Because I think in certain circumstances, like it's good to know your times tables.
Yeah.
It's good to know all of that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But at a certain point, we've said, well, is it important to know, how to divide a 5 digit number by a 4 digit number? Okay, yeah, it's important to know that. Do you have to do that every time? Well,
No.
no. We have calculators in the real world. You don't need to do that every time. Eighth
Yeah.
grader, just you're okay. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be similar with AI. We
Oh.
need to be clear in how to do it. So, and my older son's school, like in his English and writing class, um, they basically don't have homework. It's all done in school. And I love that. As a parent, I love the fact that my child doesn't have homework. I'd much
Mm.
rather have them do all the work at school and come home and play or relax or talk with us or whatever than to do that. So I think that's wonderful to
Mm.
have that kind of stuff, like do it in class. So I think there is going to be much more of that. I think there is going to also be much more customization. And
Mm.
this is one area where I really, my gosh, if there are any teachers listening to this, please do this. Even frankly, email me and I'll help you out in doing this.
Mm.
I think, especially for like younger students in school who are learning, say, math,
Mm.
if I were a teacher, I think you should be giving every single student in that class different homework. And what I mean by that is, so my daughter is into, dancing and theater and volleyball. And so therefore, you can have an AI generate questions related to using her name, her friends' names, using volleyball, using whatever as examples in there to help her understand the math better, talking to her in a language, frankly, a language that she understands.
Yeah.
She likes theater. She's like, oh my gosh, like all these things. AI does that so well, and it can even help you grade the stuff. So if you have 30 kids in your class, you can have like a little spreadsheet that would have all your kids' names or whatever, put that into a language model and have it generate 30 different assignments as part of that. And every one of them would be customized. And the reason why I say that's important, because I actually remember when I grew up, I used to collect baseball cards. So baseball sport used to be popular in the US, but it had all these statistics on the back, all these numbers. And I love baseball, and I used to read the back of the cards. I would study them, and that's how I learned how to do math. Because all these numbers meant something. And I would say like, oh, if you do this and this, then like that's dividing. And like I learned how to do all this stuff from hours of staring at stuff because it really interested me. Like imagine if all of my math assignments would, as a kid, would have been like baseball related or whatever. Like it would have helped me understand the concept so much quicker. And that is like those are the use cases of AI for schools that actually really excite me. Like I want to see teachers starting to do that. And again, it's not going to be creating more work. It's going to actually having AI do a lot of the customization. You can even have AI do the grading and have the AI kind of point out, hey, here are where the gaps are. Here's where we can help you out more. Like that's super exciting to me.
Nice. I think you should have a conversation with my wife because she's into education. She's into elementary education. So I
know where to reach me.
Yeah, I have to. No, seriously, I'm going to let her know that this is what you talked about, and I'm going to like link you guys together to have this conversation going because it's really something that is profound. Like because the world has really changed, and we have to understand that we need to change some methods and the way we do things to understand that this growing up generation are not like our generation. They need to also use these tools to help them become better. Like you mentioned, like the math stuff, you should be able to enhance how they learn and how they get to understand what you're teaching them faster and easier, so let it not be like a whole, like they go to school and it's stressful. They need to learn this thing the hard way, get pen and paper. Like I was having a conversation with someone in one of the episodes, and I was saying that using pen and paper at some point is like it's phasing out now, because many people, like the younger generation now, like they don't even like using pen and paper. A lot of them want to use their tabs, they want to use their laptops, or they want to use their phones to do whatever they want because it's more convenient for them. But our generation, then we use pen and paper to write notes and all this kind of stuff. Now they can do all that on their tabs. So
right. These great projects. I didn't know I was signing up for that, but no, I love it. Please do.
Yeah.
Please do.
By the way, I love your LinkedIn banner. The brain like that.
Oh, so do you know? I don't know if you read. There's a post I have about why that is my LinkedIn banner.
Oh wow!
Because I put into 3 different models. I think it was Dolly, Flux, and one other Midjourney. Maybe I think it was like 3 different image generation models. I forgot what the prompt was at the time, but I was like, I want the most insane LinkedIn banner, and I had people vote on it. Ooh. So actually in my profile, you could see the different options, and then everyone voted on it. So that was totally AI. I think I put my resume or something into those.
Nice.
And said like, okay, what would you create from this? So it was all AI generated, basically.
Nice. Really nice. I think I'll try that too because I love it. I really love it so much.
That's cool. I'm glad to hear that.
I really love it. I hope to give me something with the lab coats, like as a chemist, put that and then also show me that, so nice.
Love it. Yeah, no, it's true. It did do that. Yes. Yeah.
I want you to say something about what you do now so the audience will know what you are really up to. Apart from the lecturing stuff, there are other things you do now. Because I saw a lot from your podcast, and the articles you write on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I just look for the audience. Probably the one way is probably my writing. I try to write about AI in very basic terms. I am not an engineer by trade, so I think
Yeah.
I
I
understand
think I noticed
technology.
that. Yeah, I noticed it too because
Yeah.
I read a couple of the articles. Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, I do my best to try and explain complex things in very simple ways. So if you're excited about AI, it's totally free to sign up. I don't make any money from that. You could, follow my newsletter on LinkedIn, or I think it's also on Medium as well, if you prefer that as a place to read blog stuff. But yeah, I post every few weeks. I'll post something on there. So like if people are interested in AI stuff, they could come connect with me and read
Yeah.
what I write about.
Yeah. So, what do you want to tell people that are, because we are speaking to audience and also in Africa, in Nigeria, and also other parts of Africa. What would you want to tell them? Like, you are in the US, technology in the US is here. So, but we are still scratching in a way. So, what do you want to tell like a young person or, and it's good you're a lecturer. What do you want to tell the young person that's interested in tech? What would you advise them to do, like if they want to pursue a career in tech, or sorry, in AI, tech related to AI? What are the steps you like tell them to follow?
Well, here's the thing with the AI. AI can be a great teacher and a tutor for you. So what I would do is I would just, get a subscription or download a version of a large language model. You can do those for free. You need a little bit of a powerful computer to do that, but it's possible, and that's getting less and less so. Like I have on my smartphone, I actually run a language model locally. So if I'm on an airplane, I could do it or whatever. I don't need internet for that. So you could do that stuff. So just get a model in there and I would just start having a conversation with it. Just say like, "Hey, this is what I want to do with my life. These are the things that excite me. Like, what areas of technology or whatever like would be where would you find good job opportunities? So what exists out there?" To let it know, just start asking it questions. Frankly, have a 30 to 60-minute conversation about that. What it is probably going to tell you is that, no matter what your background, there's going to be opportunities for you out there in that world. And the one thing I could probably say is the more familiar you are with using these are the most powerful AI tools that have ever existed, and most of them are free for anybody to use. We take that for granted. As
Yeah.
long as you have a smartphone, you can access some version of ChatGPT
Yeah.
or Llama by Meta or all of these things. Like that is all accessible for free or for a nominal price every month.
Yeah.
These are the most powerful AI models the world has ever known. And again, I think we take that for granted. Like
Yeah.
this, to add, like ChatGPT 4 would have probably cost. I mean, I couldn't imagine if 5 years ago you said, "Hey, you can have access to this." At a company, we would have probably paid like tens of $1,000s a month per person to get that.
Hmm.
And in the US, it now costs $20, and everybody's like, "Is it really worth it?" Yeah, it's worth it. It's
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah.
So just start using these tools, play with them, become an expert in them. And one of the ways to become an expert, just like use it for everything. If you have a random question or like try and break it, see what happens. Like play around with it, see what kind of weird responses it gives. Read newsletters, participate in communities in this area. Like there is so much information out there who for somebody who is ambitious, for somebody who is
Yeah.
into technology, you're going to be able to find jobs no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah.
Um, Talent is going to rise to the top, and we're if you are the ambitious person who's just going to work and just spend the hours and just play with these models and obsess over like what these models can and can't do, you're going to find something
Hmm.
out there. You
Wow.
really will. So that's the one thing I would leave people with that.
Wow.
These tools though are something that I think are going to benefit. Look, when I was at PayPal, we had a bunch of AI engineers. We had that. PayPal's a big company. They have a
Yeah.
lot of money, all
Yeah.
this other kind of stuff.
Yeah. We use
Um,
that here in Nigeria. So,
but now these tools are in every town, every village, anywhere where you have access to a smart device.
hmm.
You're going to be able to access, again, the biggest, the world's greatest AI tools are at your fingertips now. And that is something that is a great equalizer that is going across continents. And
Yeah.
that's what really excites me.
Yeah, it's really exciting, really nice. But do we have like AI on Web3 spaces? Because a lot of people on Web3 spaces, I don't know if they talk about AI a lot. So what's that relationship like now?
So the AI to the Web3 world. Oh boy, I
Yeah.
didn't know you were going to ask me about this. Are folks going to know Web3, or do I need to kind of define Web3 for people? Will your listeners know?
Yeah, yeah, the ones that are
Okay, okay,
interested will.
okay, great, great. So um, so yeah, so I mean, a little bit of background. I used to run like the first blockchain team at PayPal back in 2019. We created the first like blockchain research group. We were actually, I remember actually on a call telling our CEO, we were talking about NFTs before this. I actually got to explain to our CEO what NFTs were on this call because he had never heard of them before. This was like
Oh,
2021 or something like that. I forget when it was exactly. I think it was yeah, early 2021. But
yeah,
so Web3,
yeah,
oh,
NFT
go
was
ahead.
like a buzz at that time. So
Yeah, it was just as they were starting to take off, like
okay,
just as that crazy NFT bubble.
yeah,
It was literally like January, right around this time in January, I think,
yeah,
2021.
yeah.
So AI plus Web3. I am working with some companies in the space here in the Bay Area, in fact, and the kind of things that we're seeing are largely in the agent space. So, an AI agent is effectively an AI that has been given a task and has some level of autonomy to complete that task.
Mm.
Now, it's usually simple stuff like it could be I'm a Twitter bot and I'm going to respond to other people's comments or I'm going to post interesting stuff or whatever. It could be a bot like that or something that is on there. How that connects with the Web3 world is it seems to be that the concept of being able to send tokens as rewards for good deeds that the bots are actually creating or finishing or being able to pay to work with the bots and so forth seems like it's a business model that may have some promise going forward. And so that is one area where specifically the Web3 world and the AI agent world, I do see a connection between those two. That's starting today. It's still very early. AI agents also are very early, but I see the logic of using like tokens as micro payments to be able to kind of move things more effectively in that type of an ecosystem.
Mm, oh, really nice. Like, do you think we can see, for example, like on a platform like that platform like Discord, for example? Do you think, and Discord, is on Web3, do you think we can see a situation where, like on Discord, all the bots, we used to have bots that do stuff and all that, like all those bots will now be like AI related bots and all those kind of stuff, taking over like community management and all those kind of stuff.
Yeah, for community management, that's a huge opportunity with that. So, I mean, you're going to have a bot that is going to more closely be able to regulate, well, what's appropriate, what's not. Maybe this is kids who are under the age of 16. So, what should or what should they not be saying? If somebody says something inappropriate or offensive or violent or something like that, it would be able to interpret that, be able to flag that to a human or whatever it might be. So I am sure like Discord and other sites like that would be actively pursuing these things. If I'd be shocked if they were not actively pursuing these things already, because I think like those are really good solutions to that. And again, it's not the be all end all, but
Yeah,
it's to have a bot like that to be kind of in the
yeah.
conversation to be able to flag it to a human to make the ultimate judgment on those things.
When you look at the benefits of what technology is doing right now, you just like medicine, for example, like someone is sick, the person has to take a drug to get well at some point and all those kind of things. So AI is
Yeah.
actually helping out to enhance our lives. And we have to be able to understand, just like you say, we don't need to sleep on it, but we need to always be on alert to ensure that we are using them to make sure our lives are better. So it's really,
And,
yeah,
and the thing I want to emphasize, and you said this before, it's a tool. It is
Hmm.
not like one of the things I actually wrote about fairly recently was like I actually hate the term AI as an artificial intelligence because it makes it seem like it's its own
Hmm.
entity and all this other stuff. Like, no,
Hmm.
like it's a tool for us to use, just like a calculator, just
Hmm.
like a car, just like whatever else. These are all tools for us to use as humans. And
Yeah.
and I think, you nailed it with when you said that earlier.
To ask in the US, for example, do you have people like in their 60s and above? How is the relationship? How do they relate with AI?
Um, I think so. So my parents are still alive. They're in their 70s and 80s. And my mother had a little bit of a health scare. She's fine, but she had a health scare last year and we had to go to the hospital.
Hmm.
And hospitals in the US they're not the most efficient things. Like if you're really, really hurt and you're kind of like bleeding and like you're about to die, they're great. If you're just kind of sick or whatever and you go there, like you're going to be there all day. You could easily be there 12, 14 hours, whatever it might be, and you just have
Oh,
no idea what's going on.
wow.
And so one of the things that we were doing with that is she would get tests. We might not see a doctor for hours, but we would feed them into the AI. So I literally just pulled up ChatGPT. I typed everything I knew about my mom, everything that all her symptoms, put that all in there. And just as we got test results, I was just throwing those test results, taking a picture, throwing them into ChatGPT. And then I would say, "Hey, what does this mean? What does this mean?" Or even, and it was just giving us peace of mind instead of waiting around for hours. But then I would also ask questions like, "What questions should we ask the doctor about with this? Like, given these results, like, how would you further want? Like, what other things should we talk to the doctor about? What should we make sure to mention? What should we make sure to ask?" And that was a way for my parents was super eye-opening. Like, oh my gosh, you can do this? Like,
Hmm.
wait, how does it? Yeah, and this is on like the $20 a month US like version ChatGPT that
Wow.
you can do that kind of stuff. And it
Hmm.
was incredible. Like, and
Hmm.
um that's only going to get better. Like I see so much benefits, with medicine and things like that. I think as it will get easier, like their habits still aren't quite there, but like once they see the benefits and once they do it a few times through repetition, they'll start using it. Like my dad did not want to touch email at all, like
Hmm.
20 years ago or 25 years ago. He's like, why would I ever use email or whatever? Now he can't get off of it.
Oh.
And just because he saw the benefit, he saw a contest, whatever, he will get the same thing with AI. And everyone will. Like we will all be on it. It will
Yeah.
all be a part of all of our lives. The only question is, are you going to decide to just start using and understanding the tools today? Or are you going to wait, 2, 3, 4, 5 years until then to start doing it?
Hmm. Yeah, like I tell a lot of young people here, I when I mentor and I talk to them, I say you don't want to be like your great grandmother or your grandmother that cannot use a
Right.
smartphone right now without using these tools now because you have to get used to using them and just start now, just like you mentioned, you have to start using them now. So, like I
Yeah.
was even talking to my father-in-law the other day, and I was showing him how to use ChatGPT. So he was amazed. He said, "Wow, tonight I'm not going to sleep." Like, and really, he's someone that seeks and craves knowledge so much. So he has been since he knew that I introduced him to Gemini and also ChatGPT. So he has
Right.
been on it so much, and he's always checking stuff and like. Ben, look at this. I found out, so he's really like what you said. Once they see the benefits, they want to, and because he's 71 now, so he's really loving it. So I'm sure that generation too can embrace it once they see, like you mentioned, the benefit of what it can do for them. And it's really profound too. And that's interesting. I really love that, really. And I'm happy I brought this
Absolutely.
angle.
And ChatGPT is infinitely patient. You could say it could give you a medical explanation. You could say, I don't understand. And it could then re-explain it. You could like, I still don't understand. And you could say, I still don't understand. I still don't understand. You could say that an infinite amount of times until you actually do that. How many times is a doctor? How much
Ah.
patience is a doctor going to have with you? I mean, maybe once they'll give an I don't understand, and then at that point they're just like, okay, go
Yeah,
away.
please. I
No
have
patience.
I have other patients to see. You are wasting
Yes.
my time.
Yeah.
I think sometimes they forget that the name patient, that title patient is for them, not for the patients in the hospital. It's just for them to remember and be patient with the people.
Exactly. That's a very good point.
Back again to the school environment where, for example, where you teach, like you have people when you fill up because sometimes I go to some sites and you want to fill in for like an applications and you see them say don't use AI to fill this form or something like that. All those kind of
Yeah.
clauses they have or on those forms. So does it mean those schools are not aware of what the it's happening now, or is just like okay, maybe they are not ready for it or something? I don't know.
Um, so yeah, so if it's actually saying don't use AI, like it's a losing battle with that. There are AI detectors that are out there. A company called Grammarly had come up with one, and it worked fairly well. I was actually surprised. OpenAI had an AI detector about 2 years ago that they released. It was awful. I would actually put like purely, and this is, when I talked about Alex Irons before, I have things over the past 2, 3 years, 100% written by AI. I have things I know that I wrote myself. I have things that I know are a little bit of a hybrid. So I test these detectors, and most of them just aren't very good. It's really hard. And especially newer AI models are harder to detect than older ones. So if a school is saying that in an essay or whatever, I mean, honestly, I think they probably know how hard it is to detect. I don't know if they're actually doing anything on the back end with that.
Oh,
I think it's probably just an administrative thing that they are
yeah,
saying that for
yeah.
whatever reason.
Yeah.
But
And besides,
yeah.
and besides, I noticed something like with ChatGPT. The more you use these tools or the more you use these platforms, the more they like understand you. Like, for example, you post your CV on that platform because it's your email that is used to open the platform or you use to register. So you see, the more you interact with the platform, the more it seems to get to now start having to have conversations and write. For those that are writers, it writes like mimics the way you write or mimics the way you have conversations. I noticed that. I don't know. I've just noticed it recently. Like you put in some details and just gives you some things that would be related to the way you would want to put those things in writing. So I think that's like a unique way because it's to distinguish the way um someone else will like Mike would have his own like your chat GBT platform, whatever you have on there. When you ask a question, it will respond to the question the way Mike will want to respond and to be different from the way Ben would do. So I think they are actually unique in their responses when you use them actually over time, not when you just begin. Because when you begin, it's
Yeah.
like they learn how you respond to questions and how interact and all that. So I think that's really something that is interesting about them.
Yeah, and even Anthropic by Claude, it will allow you to it will train on your voice. So like you can have like formal, informal, and then custom. And if you actually upload documents in there, it will try and train on how you write. Nah, it does a decent job of that. I mean, it's probably better than what the regular output is, but you're right. Like this is only going to get better over time, and it's only going to, sound more and more like what you sound like yourself.
Yeah, this is just part of a transitioning process that is happening. I know that this is huge because it has to do with like something that our brains are supposed to be doing. Something else is doing it for us. Like it's helping you think, those guys. I think that is a little bit scary for some people.
Right. Yep. I think that's exactly right. Yes. You shouldn't be as scared. It is a tool. Know that, that should be everyone's takeaway from this.
Yeah, I want to thank you so, so, so much for coming on to the show.
Oh,
And we
pleasure.
are excited to have you. And I'm sure we'll call on you again some other time to come and be our tech sculptor and tech sculptix. So we are so honored to have you. And we would also follow up on those three things I've given you, the assignments that I gave you to do.
Well, I'm a tech sculptor now, so like yes, I should be having those things to follow up on. So yes, happy to do
Thank you
that.
so much. Thank you so much. In regards to your family and your wonderful kids and your wife too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Benedict. I
Yeah, and
appreciate it.
also my greetings to Immaculate. She did a wonderful job following up on this. So also
Good.
send my regards.
I will let her know. She will appreciate that. She is pretty awesome.
Yeah, she is. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so
Thanks,
happy.
Benedict.
Yeah. So
Take
take care
care.
of yourself. Bye. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, check your seat. Hey now, what's the buzz? Tech's evolving, it's all because